Lovely souls, welcome to my channel Magnetize Official. I'm so excited to share this highly anticipated follow-up to one of the most requested topics on my channel, how the divine masculine experiences or feels twin flame love differently. In this video, we're diving even deeper into the fascinating dynamics of the twin flame journey, exploring how the connection is uniquely experienced by the divine masculine. This profound love, though mirrored in both counterparts, manifests in beautifully distinct ways that reflect the divine masculine's role in the physical world. Whether you're on this journey yourself or simply curious about its mysteries, I hope this exploration brings you clarity, resonance, and perhaps even a few aha moments. If you haven't had a chance to check out part 1 of this series, don't worry, I've got you covered. I'll leave a link in the description box below so you can go back and explore the foundation we built in that video. It's a great starting point for understanding the essence of this unique experience. So, let's step into this illuminating exploration together. How the divine masculine experiences twin flame love differently. Grab your favorite drink. Find a comfortable space, and let's journey through this sacred topic. In part 1 of this series, we uncovered some fascinating insights about how the differences in masculine and feminine energy influence the way each counterpart experiences the twin flame connection. These differences originate from the unique energetic focus of each polarity in the physical world, shaping their perceptions and expressions of this profound love. We explored how the divine feminine's energy naturally aligns with the upper chakras, the crown chakra, third eye chakra, and throat chakra. This alignment grants her a heightened intuitive awareness of the connection. She's often deeply in tune with the spiritual bond, able to sense its presence with remarkable clarity. Her energy flows effortlessly into realms of intuition, communication, and divine knowing, making her more vocal about her experiences and feelings regarding the connection. On the other hand, the divine masculine's energy is more grounded in the lower chakras, the root chakra, sacral chakra, and solar plexus chakra. This anchoring gives him a stronger sense of physical identity and a natural focus on material and earthly aspects of existence. His energy is denser and more rooted in the tangible world, in contrast to the lighter, ethereal quality of the divine feminine. What does this mean for how the divine masculine feels? Twin flame love. One of the most striking ways the divine masculine experiences twin flame love differently is through his profound admiration for the divine feminine. This admiration often manifests as a quiet, stoic appreciation that radiates through his energy rather than being openly expressed. While the divine feminine can pick up on this admiration on a soul level, her human 3D perspective can sometimes find this lack of vocal expression frustrating. In moments of silence, the divine masculine's admiration may feel like an unspoken melody, a love song that plays between souls but doesn't yet reach the surface in words. This can create tension for the divine feminine, particularly if she's navigating a wounded or unbalanced energetic state. She may yearn for verbal confirmation or visible signs of love and connection, which can feel absent when the masculine processes his feelings internally or expresses them through actions rather than words. This dynamic becomes especially pronounced during periods of physical separation or communication disconnect. While the divine feminine often seeks to bridge the gap through intuitive or verbal expression, the divine masculine's energy is more likely to pull inward, processing his emotions in solitude. This difference in approach can create a sense of misalignment on the surface, even though the deeper energetic bond remains unwavering. By understanding these dynamics, we can begin to see the beauty in how each counterpart contributes uniquely to the connection. The divine masculine's grounded, silent admiration is not a lack of love. It's simply a different way of experiencing and expressing the sacred bond. When both counterparts honor and embrace these differences, the twin flame connection becomes an even more powerful catalyst for growth, healing, and unconditional love. Why is the divine masculine silent in his admiration? The silence of the divine masculine can feel like a mystery, an enigma that often leaves the divine feminine wondering what lies beneath. But when we take a closer look, we find profound reasons rooted in both energetic dynamics and the soul's higher wisdom. The first reason stems from the divine masculine's throat chakra, which is often less developed early in the connection. This energy center, responsible for communication and self-expression, may feel blocked or underactive for the masculine. As a result, he struggles to translate the depth of his feelings for the divine feminine into physical, 3D words. It's not that the emotions aren't there, they are vast and deeply felt, but putting them into language can feel almost impossible at times. The second reason for his silence runs even deeper. On a soul level, the divine masculine's quietness is often intentional. His higher self recognizes when he doesn't yet have the tools, resources, or emotional readiness to match the divine feminine's energy in the physical world. In these moments, his silence is not a lack of love or interest. It's an act of reverence. When the divine masculine feels unprepared to stand fully in his power, he holds back, not because he doesn't admire the divine feminine, but because he respects her light too much to risk dimming it. From his perspective, the silence is an acknowledgement. I see you shining so brightly. You're rising in your power, becoming more of who you're meant to be. And right now, I'm not ready to meet you on that level. I don't want to detract from your radiance or take anything from you that I cannot yet give in return. To the divine feminine, this silence can appear avoidant, even distant. But beneath it lies a profound truth. The divine masculine is deeply admiring her from afar, captivated by her strength, beauty, and spiritual evolution. Ironically, his silence often mirrors the immense respect he feels. Yet, it also reflects his own internal struggle, a realization of the shadows he is still working to heal within himself. When the divine masculine witnesses the divine feminine's light, it awakens a heightened awareness of his own unhealed aspects. In her presence, he is inspired, but he's also faced with the magnitude of the work he feels he must do to step fully into the connection. This internal conflict often keeps him in a state of quiet observation rather than active engagement. It's as though his soul whispers, "Your light inspires me to be better, to grow, and to heal. I see the truth of who you are, and in that truth, I see everything I still need to become." By understanding this, the divine feminine can begin to view his silence through a compassionate lens. It's not about withholding love, it's about honoring the connection by ensuring that when the time comes to align, it will be in its most authentic and empowered form. His quiet admiration is a reflection of the sacredness of the bond and his deep desire to give her the partnership she deserves when he's ready to do so wholeheartedly. Let's unpack one of the most perplexing dynamics in the twin flame connection: why the divine masculine often seems silent or distant during moments when the divine feminine is thriving. From a soul-level perspective, twin flames are perfect energetic counterparts, eternally interconnected through an unbreakable bond. At this higher level of awareness, there's no concept of one giving or taking energy, because everything simply is. Their connection is seamless and reciprocal. When one shifts their energy, whether positively or negatively, it naturally impacts the other. This is the nature of their shared energetic dance. However, when viewed from the 3D, physical perspective of the divine masculine, this interconnectedness can feel very different. When he witnesses the divine feminine stepping into her power, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, or even materially, he often becomes quiet or seemingly distant, particularly if there's a period of physical separation or emotional disconnect. For the divine feminine, this can be deeply confusing. She might find herself asking, why isn't he acknowledging how far I've come? Why isn't he celebrating my growth or stepping forward into my reality as I rise into my authentic self? Let me assure you, divine feminine, that the work you are doing on yourself, healing, growing, and stepping into your power, is not going unnoticed or unappreciated. Quite the opposite, in fact. The shifts you are making within yourself are not only transforming your own life, but are energetically rippling through the connection, inspiring and healing the divine masculine as well. The most transformative way to influence your twin flame connection is through this process of deep self-reconnection. As you return to your true, inner self, you can't help but reconnect with your twin flame. After all, they are a mirror soul, a reflection of your most authentic essence. So why then does the masculine often remain on the sidelines, offering what feels like silent admiration instead of active engagement? The answer lies in the nature of the divine masculine's desire for partnership. Unlike other forms of masculine energy that may express love through dominance, dependence, or unequal dynamics, the divine masculine's deepest longing within the twin flame connection is for equality. He doesn't just want to stand beside the divine feminine, he wants to stand beside her as her equal, as someone who has done his own inner work, healed his own wounds, and risen into his own power. When the masculine sees the feminine thriving, it often illuminates areas within himself where he still feels unprepared or unaligned. His silence isn't a lack of admiration or love, it's an acknowledgement of the sacredness of the connection and his own internal desire to rise to meet her at the same level. In those moments when he seems distant, it's important to remember that his silence carries an unspoken reverence for the divine feminine's light. He's not stepping back because he doesn't care. He's stepping back because he cares so deeply. From his perspective, this connection deserves nothing less than the fullness of his healed and empowered self. For the divine feminine, this can be a reminder to stay focused on her own path. The more deeply she reconnects with her inner self, the more she shifts the entire dynamic of the connection. And as she continues to rise, she sends out an energetic invitation to the divine masculine, encouraging him to do the same in his own time, in his own way. In this shared growth, the connection becomes a sacred partnership, a meeting of equals, grounded in mutual respect, love, and the divine purpose that brought them together in the first place. At the core of the divine masculine's journey lies a profound realization. On a soul level, twin flames are equals, perfectly balanced, energetically identical counterparts. This understanding shapes his deepest desires within the connection. Unlike many conventional dynamics, the divine masculine doesn't want to take from the divine feminine. He wants to create a harmonious, shared partnership. This higher self-awareness drives him to approach the connection with great care. If, in his current state, he doesn't feel fully aligned or capable of showing up as an equal partner in the physical world, he might instinctively pull away. To him, this is not an act of rejection, but an act of reverence. He recognizes the sacredness of the bond and feels an internal calling to heal and evolve before stepping forward. Only when he has shifted and grown into his full potential can he truly meet the divine feminine as her equal and partner, not just in energy, but in all aspects of life. This brings us to a powerful truth about how the divine masculine experiences twin flame love. His approach to love is deeply rooted in this desire for equality and balance. This differs from the dynamics of other forms of masculine energy, which may sometimes express love through dominance, dependence, or uneven exchanges. In the case of the divine masculine, his love comes with an intrinsic respect for the divine feminine's light and power. He doesn't want to diminish it, overshadow it, or drain it. Instead, he longs to reflect it, to amplify it, and to stand beside her as a co-creator of a shared destiny. For some listening, this may feel contradictory to past experiences. You may have felt moments in your twin flame connection where it seemed like the masculine was asking too much of you, whether emotionally, energetically, or even physically. You may have wondered, if he doesn't want to take from me, why did it sometimes feel like he was? The answer lies in the complexity of this connection and the journey of healing it entails. When the divine masculine appears to take or ask too much from the divine feminine, it is often during moments when he is still moving through his own wounded energy. In these phases, his actions may not align with the higher self-intentions of the connection. But as he begins to awaken to the truth of this bond, he starts to shift. He realizes that taking from the feminine, whether intentionally or unintentionally, creates an imbalance that feels inherently misaligned with the sacred nature of their partnership. This awakening propels him toward his own inner healing, so he can step into the connection as the divine partner he was always destined to be. For the divine feminine, it's important to remember that this journey is not linear. The masculine's moments of withdrawal or apparent imbalance are not a reflection of his love for you. They are part of his personal evolution. During these times, your own healing and rising into your power are what anchor the connection, gently guiding him to step into his own light. Ultimately, the divine masculine's love is transformative, rooted in his desire to create a partnership that is balanced, harmonious, and worthy of the twin flame union. His silence, his distance, or even his moments of misalignment are all part of a larger process of becoming, of preparing to meet you in a shared space of unconditional love and mutual empowerment. When the divine masculine operates from a wounded state, it can create challenging dynamics that test the strength and understanding of the twin flame connection. In this state, the masculine may unintentionally take from the divine feminine or accept her self-sacrificing energy to fill gaps in his own healing. However, this dynamic is profoundly uncomfortable for the divine masculine on a soul level. It clashes with the sacred nature of their bond, creating a deep sense of dissonance within him, even if he can't consciously articulate why. This discomfort becomes a powerful catalyst for cycles of separation between the twins in the physical world. The divine masculine, tethered to his higher self, cannot tolerate imposing the outdated 3D model of love onto this deeply spiritual connection. In a 3D paradigm, relationships often operate on a give and take mentality, where one sacrifices and the other benefits. But within the twin flame connection, such imbalances are inherently unsustainable. The masculine feels this misalignment in his very core, which ultimately compels him to withdraw. From the perspective of the divine feminine, this withdrawal can feel confusing and painful. It may even appear as rejection. Yet, in the grander scheme of the connection, what the masculine is truly doing is honoring the divine feminine in the best way he knows how at that moment. Whether consciously or unconsciously, he is stepping back to avoid perpetuating a cycle that neither honors her light nor allows the connection to evolve into its destined form. Here lies the irony. The masculine's retreat is an act of love. It reflects his desire to show up fully healed, balanced, and whole for the divine feminine. Though this may not be immediately evident, his soul recognizes that he cannot be an equal partner while engaging in a pattern where the feminine overgives or self-sacrifices from a place of fear or need for validation. For the divine feminine, it's crucial to understand the role her energy plays in this dynamic. When she steps into the energy of self-sacrifice, overgiving to the masculine in hopes of receiving validation, love, or support, she unknowingly perpetuates the very pattern that drives the masculine to pull away. This is not because he doesn't love or value her, but because he feels the energetic imbalance and knows, on a soul level, that it must be corrected. The divine masculine's withdrawal is a reflection of the twin flame journey's sacred design, a connection that thrives only in mutual empowerment and balance. When the feminine aligns with her own self-worth and power, releasing any need to overextend herself or fear losing the masculine, she creates space for the connection to evolve. This shift inspires the masculine to rise into his own healing and balance, ultimately enabling both counterparts to reunite in a partnership that reflects their highest selves. This is why the feminine's journey inward, to self-love, self-empowerment, and energetic balance, is so vital to the twin flame dynamic. By prioritizing her own healing and wholeness, she naturally encourages the masculine to do the same. Together, they dissolve old patterns and move closer to the harmonious union they are destined to co-create. The pattern of over-sacrifice from the divine feminine and disempowerment in the divine masculine can create a cycle that, though painful, holds within it the key to healing and transformation. When the divine feminine steps out of her power to overgive, often at the expense of her own well-being, and the divine masculine remains in a wounded state, taking from her energetically, it leads to imbalance. This is not just an emotional or physical disconnect, but a spiritual imbalance that both twins must recognize in order to break free from it. When the masculine pulls away, it's essential to understand that, on a soul level, this withdrawal is a part of a greater process. It is a necessary step for breaking the unhealthy dynamics beneath the connection. His retreat allows both counterparts the space and time they need to heal their wounds separately, so they can come back together in a higher, more aligned energy. This space facilitates the healing of the energies that have been out of balance, making way for a reunion rooted in a new, beautiful paradigm. A paradigm where love is unconditional. Unconditional love is the true essence of the twin flame connection. It is love that is free from restrictions, expectations, or the transactional nature of give and take. It is love that transcends the 3D models of sacrifice, martyrdom, and conditionality. In this higher love, there is no need for the feminine to prove her worth by overgiving or self-sacrificing. She is already worthy of love simply by being herself. The divine masculine, deeply protective of his divine feminine, recognizes this. He feels immense discomfort when he sees her depleting herself for others, whether that be in relationships, responsibilities, or even for him. This dissonance causes him profound pain at a soul level because it disrupts his innate desire to honor her as his equal. His soul craves to meet her in the energy of mutual respect, balance, and equality, not in a dynamic where she is giving away more than she receives. When the feminine over-sacrifices or puts others' needs above her own, especially in relationships, it sends an energetic signal to the masculine that something is out of alignment in their connection. He is deeply moved by her sacrifice, but at the same time, he feels compelled to pull away because this dissonance hurts him. He wants to honor her fully, but cannot do so while the energetic imbalance exists. Instead of standing in her own power, strength, and confidence, the divine feminine, in her wounded state, may choose to please others. This leads to the third way. The divine masculine experiences twin flame love differently. Twin flame love is not just a journey of healing, but also a journey of growth into the highest version of oneself. It calls forth the best in both partners. For the divine feminine, this means embracing her inner power, self-worth, and unconditional love. But for the masculine, this process is often more challenging. The highest version of the divine masculine is deeply protective, strong, emotionally available, and spiritually aware. However, when this highest self is called forth, the masculine may not yet be ready to embody it fully. This is one of the most significant differences in how the divine masculine experiences twin flame love. While the feminine might feel called to rise and embody her highest self, the masculine at times is still working through the layers of his wounds, doubts, and conditioning. He wants to meet her as an equal, but may not yet feel capable of doing so. This creates a tension as the masculine sees his divine feminine blossoming into her true essence, and he may feel unprepared to match her energy. Instead of rushing in to meet her, he may need to step back, retreat into his own space, and do the work necessary to rise into his highest self. However, this period of retreat and seeming distance is not a sign of rejection, but rather a moment of deep respect and internal transformation. The masculine knows that in order to truly meet his divine feminine as her equal, he must first become the highest version of himself. This process may take time, but it is necessary for the creation of a relationship that is based on true equality, mutual respect, and unconditional love. Thus, the twin flame journey, while full of challenges, is also full of beauty. Every phase of growth, every period of separation, and every moment of silence are pieces of the puzzle that will ultimately lead to a union that is stronger, more harmonious, and more loving than either twin could have ever imagined. Through healing, releasing old patterns, and stepping into their highest selves, both the divine feminine and divine masculine are preparing for a love that is unconditional, balanced, and free of sacrifice. And that is the true gift of the twin flame connection. For the divine feminine, the twin flame journey unfolds in a deeply spiritual and transformative way. Often, she is the one leading in the realm of spirituality, soul purpose, and life path. This means that by the time she steps into the twin flame experience, she has likely undergone many spiritual awakenings and experiences that have paved the way for her to clearly perceive the spiritual essence of this connection. She feels a deep knowing, an intuitive understanding of the divine nature of her union with the masculine. In this sense, she is already attuned to the higher frequencies of the relationship and calls her counterpart to meet her there, at that elevated level of spiritual consciousness. The divine feminine's role in this journey is often to awaken and inspire the masculine to step into his highest self. She doesn't need to force this growth. Rather, she simply embodies her own evolution so fully that she naturally calls him to rise to the same level. It's not a matter of comparison, but of energy. Her light, her growth, her spiritual awakening, and her journey towards self-realization spark something within him. Something he may not even fully understand yet. But he feels it. He feels the pull, the invitation to evolve, to transform, and to meet her as his equal. On the other hand, the divine masculine's path through the twin flame journey often looks different. By the time he encounters his divine feminine in this lifetime, he has usually solidified success in the material realm. He may have established his career, built a sense of stability in the physical world, or found success in ways that ground him in the tangible aspects of life. His achievements in the material world provide him with a sense of security and rootedness. But when it comes to spiritual growth, he may not yet feel fully aligned with his highest self. This is where the beautiful dynamic of twin flames begins to play out. The divine feminine, in her spiritual clarity, holds the vision of the divine masculine's highest potential, his most spiritually conscious, authentic self. She knows who he is capable of becoming even if he doesn't yet see it in himself. As the masculine begins to recognize the profound depth of his connection with the feminine, he sees her as a reflection of that highest self, the ideal version of who he can be. This recognition can trigger both inspiration and fear. Often this fear manifests in the masculine's words and actions. He may express sentiments like, "I want it to be you in the end," or "You are my ideal." On the surface, these phrases seem like expressions of love and commitment, but beneath them lies a deeper truth. He feels the gap between who he is right now and who he knows he could be in his ideal form. This gap can be intimidating, and it's not uncommon for the masculine to voice doubts like, "You deserve better than me," or "I want you to find someone who's better for you." These words, while painful to hear, are rooted in the masculine's recognition of his own limitations at this moment. What he's really acknowledging is the fear of not being able to measure up to the version of himself that the feminine is calling him toward. He knows that his divine feminine is urging him to step into his greatest potential, and this challenge can feel overwhelming. He may not yet feel worthy of that highest self or capable of embodying it in the physical world. And while he feels drawn to the feminine's light and the transformative energy she offers, he may also experience fear, resistance, and self-doubt as he confronts the work that is needed to become the man he knows he is capable of being. This is the delicate dance of twin flames. The feminine's role is not to fix or heal the masculine, but to embody her own evolution so powerfully that she naturally invites him to rise alongside her. The masculine's role is to face his own fears, limitations, and doubts, and to step forward into the transformation required to meet her at her level, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Both twins are constantly growing, evolving, and shifting, and the connection between them will continue to evolve as they both rise to meet each other as equals. It is through this mutual growth that they will ultimately come into union, creating a relationship built on unconditional love, deep respect, and shared spiritual awakening. The way the divine masculine experiences twin flame love is deeply rooted in his recognition of the divine feminine as his ideal partner, his ideal version of love and life. He sees her not only as the woman he desires, but as the embodiment of his highest potential, the woman who calls him to become the most conscious, healed, and fulfilled version of himself. This fulfillment, however, is not solely based on material success or external achievements. It is a deeper kind of fulfillment that touches his soul, one that encompasses both his spiritual and material growth. The divine masculine, at a soul level, knows that this connection with the divine feminine is sacred. He senses that it is a call to rise higher, to evolve beyond his current limitations and fears, and to step into a version of himself that aligns with his highest purpose, even if he doesn't always understand or articulate it in those terms. He feels the pull. His soul recognizes the truth of this connection, and he longs to meet her at her level, to show up for her as her equal in all respects. This is why, on some level, he envisions a future with her, a future that reflects the ideal life he wants to build. not just with her, but for himself as he becomes the person he is truly meant to be. As we wrap up this podcast, I truly hope that something in this message resonated with you. The journey of the twin flame connection can be a deep and transformative one. And exploring how the divine masculine perceives and feels, it can offer us new insights into our own paths, especially for those of us walking the journey from the divine feminine perspective. If you'd like to dive deeper into this topic, I'm more than happy to explore it further in a part 3. Many of you have expressed a strong interest in learning more about how the divine masculine experiences the connection. So if this has been helpful, please be sure to subscribe to the channel Magnetize Official and leave a comment with your thoughts. Let me know if you'd love a part 3 or if there's something specific you'd like to learn more about in future episodes. Sending love and light to all of you on your twin flame journey.